All right.
All right. You get our horror show tonight. We're on the Halloween cast. It's Halloween, folks. Now, 40 years from now, you're not going to worry about this, but it's Halloween tonight. This is a fish that I caught just at the Ford Lake. I'm glad we found it. Anyway, so our tonight show is going to be great. We have, of course, Jason Grant, and we have, of course, Sam Greenfield, all the way from New York City, and your host and master of ceremonies is Mark Sweetman on the off night.
Did I do that right? Oh, no, I did something wrong here. Oh, no, there I am. Hey, how's it going, Andy?
Good. Everything's going good.
Excellent. You are the only of all of our regulars. You're the only one who wore a Halloween costume.
Hey, I figured might as well, but that puts a time period on this one. But we can always show this like the Simpsons episode.
Okay, so we'll just do a marathon. And once we get the off night channel on the Disney Plus network, we'll on Halloween we will only run the Halloween episodes.
Exactly.
In a continuous loop.
4 or 5 of them, continuously run them,
Yeah. Brett last night at the ale house asked me he says, "What's your costume?" And I looked at what I was wearing. I said, "It's a 1980s open mic night MC. That's what I'm going as tonight."
Actually, I think you could go for Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, okay. Ernest.
There you go.
Said that.
Ernest.
I'll go with that.
Ernest Hemingway during the Pilar days.
All right.
So here's my special effect, my Halloween special effect.
I like that. Well, any news? We know what you missed last night, and I understand that you got stuck in Royal Oak, I think you said, or Pontiac, something like that.
Yeah. I got. It was like I was down to like maybe 10 miles. I was way out of my range, so I had to charge up there. I'm charging right now because I made it back to Ypsi though.
So this electric car thing maybe isn't working out for you.
Well, it is. Okay, so it's like I only have to pay about $10 to charge it. It's like a 250-mile range. The problem with Detroit is all the runs are like 10 to 15 miles a piece. So they won't let you sort of cancel orders if they go too long. I mean, there's plenty of orders in like Ann Arbor that are short. They're trying to stay in Ann Arbor, but then they'll send me off on a long trip to Los Angeles.
Can't do that in an electric car.
Yeah, very hard. Unless you have somebody to piggyback on. But
all right. Well, we got a short poem tonight, so let me see if I got Susan in the house here. Are you here?
I have my pumpkin shirt on just for the kids. So
you know what? I don't have any kids. Oh well, you know what? None of my kids are here tonight. They're all out, and of course, no kids have shown up at our house. I think the most we've ever had.
17.
We had 7. Susan says we had 17. Now my guess was going to be 6, but if she says 17, I got to believe that. But we don't get very many beggars at our house. So anyway, here she is. Here she is with the weekly news poem. Here's Susan.
Okay.
This is my costume. Comic wife. Tired.
Comic
So you're the Dead Letter Society there. Okay.
Mark, this is last week's poem. Where's this week's poem?
Hold on. I had one that said 31st on it. What did I do with it? There it is.
Is this a Twilight Zone episode?
I saw Liz Truss, and I knew that was last week. So, all right, here we go. October 31st. Happy Halloween, everybody. Here we go. In September, Maisha Amini was beaten and died, but violent protests in Iran have yet to subside. To be beautiful in face and form means risk of assault. Is Iran saying it is really all a woman's fault? Joe Biden lost a drag race in his 67 Corvette, but had fun out there driving, and he's still president. Lottery prize tonight is a great big pot. I won't be here next week if I win the lot. In the meantime, try to watch the World Series. Games are tied 1-1 between the Astros and the Phillies. And do not be scared. Please don't have a fright. Please try to enjoy. Have a safe Halloween night.
All right. Thank you, Susan.
Oh, thanks, Susan.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. That's our weekly poem. All right. Now we got that out of the way. Let's bring our other delightful funny makers here. I'm going to do them in order that I have them on the screen here. Here's one of our favorites at our Sunday night showcase in Ypsilanti, Michigan. And we want it because he hadn't been there in a while. We want to hear how that went. Here's Jason Grant. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hello. I'm happy to tell you that I'm attired as Ron Jeremy tonight.
Okay.
It was a great show last night. I had a great. The audience didn't give a good goddamn, but I had a great time. So
you do what you're supposed to do. You get that shit. I mean, at least people are watching you.
Yeah, I loved my opening line, which I came up with in the parking lot on the way in.
Were you the one that did you got hammered? Was that your line?
Yeah. I was out west. I was getting hammered with Paul Pelosi.
Yeah, Susan remembered that line. Susan recalled that line as the line of the night. So you opened the show. You opened the show well. So.
Well, I'm glad to have the imperator of Susan. That certainly is high praise.
Let's get Sam out here and so then you can retell the joke. So he has Andy hasn't heard it yet either. So let's get the two guys out here that haven't heard your joke yet.
Yeah.
Here's from New York, our radio guy, our East Coast guy. This guy knows a little bit to most of everything. We could talk about sports. We could talk about the arts. We could talk about world politics. We could talk about world history. We could talk minute, macro. This guy knows it. Here he is, Sam Greenfield, everybody.
Sam.
Well, to quote the great Guy de Maupassant, no, I'm just kidding. The master of French irony.
Sam's the guy I like to point to as to why you need a liberal arts education. And they say, is Sam a liberal arts major? I go, no, you need it to be able to talk to him.
So Elon Musk, Dinesh Souza, and Donald Trump Jr. are all purporting the theory that this is not a joke, that Paul Pelosi and the guy who attacked him are gay lovers.
Oh.
Well, if they aren't, they should be.
Wait a minute.
Got it.
No, okay, I don't know that much about gay love, but a hammer?
Well, it depends on the hammer, but
but to say hammer can mean a lot of things, Mark.
Also,
hold on. Before we go any further, Jason,
yes,
tell Andy and Sam your opening joke from last night.
The opening joke last night was I'm glad to be here. I just got in. I was out west getting hammered with Paul Pelosi.
We heard it. You said it already.
I said that.
You nailed it. You nailed it, man. You nailed it. You put it right on the head. You nailed it.
And what I wanted to follow with, and I forgot to do it, was, and by the way, the test results are in. I am the father of Rosemary's Baby. Which for a Halloween joke, I thought that would go over well, but I just got a little ahead of myself and I didn't get a chance to use that. So
I wonder how many people in the audience would know who Rosemary's Baby is.
That was my thought too.
Because later you gave it to me for that reference for Joe.
For Joe, yeah, exactly. Tell him that's Rosemary's second baby, the one that didn't work out quite so good,
So Donald Trump Jr. said he had the perfect Halloween costume, and it showed him with a hammer stuck in his underwear band. And I said, I have the perfect Halloween costume. I was going to go as Donald Trump Jr., but how do you construct an asshole?
Well, it's not that hard, really, but never
Not
mind
that
It
way,
depends on
damn
it
it.
depends on how you glaze a bunt
Yeah.
cake.
that.
And I just discovered the other day. I mean, it's not going to affect him, but a lot of people are now ditching Twitter,
Yeah.
not because of any genuine dislike for what's his name, Elon Musk, but the fact that, hey, do you have any Nazi theories you'd like to report? Come on in. Hey, do you have any? Anything is game, and people are saying, I don't mind freedom of expression, but I don't want to hear this shit. Like the guy who attacked Pelosi is a Holocaust denier.
Well, when you have Ayatollah Khomeini being able to tweet,
It's time to call it a day.
I mean, when you have other folks there who are able to express equally distasteful opinions.
Who is Elon Musk going to advertise to? That thing depends on advertising. I mean, what kind of advertising are you going to get?
I don't think he cares.
No, it will advertise. It'll be fine. I mean,
if you like to buy gold.
Well, what can I say? You need to keep some of that on your person in case
kids. You need some arms dealer. We got an arms dealer for you right now. We got arms that can take it. That's right, kids.
Let me tell you something about
gold arms.
Let me explain something about people who get really upset, like at Fox News, and they say we're going to boycott their advertisers. Yeah. They don't care, and the reason they don't care is because Fox News, for money, is not dependent on advertisers. They charge the cable companies a fee, and that's where they get their money. That's where they get their money.
So is that what Twitter is? That Twitter's set up also?
I don't know, but
you have to understand that all these apps gather up a great amount of data on all these people, and that's where the money genuinely is. If you go to Chipotle right now to walk in there and buy a burrito, you can't do that. You have to order it from their app, even if you're standing in their lobby. And rest assured, if you
is that true?
Yes, it is. If you read the end license user agreement, you'll find that app is just as toxic and just as data hungry as TikTok,
as the food itself,
Uber, as everything else, and exactly, just as empty, and and that is going to be what they make their money on. That is the revenue stream. We're nothing but data points to these people anymore. That's what this is all about.
Well, I know that at Popeyes, if you want one of their specials, like 5 pieces of chicken for $5, you have to order it on the app and then come in and get it.
Well, I used to get 5 pieces of chicken too, but it was not at Popeyes. Never mind, though. I'm not going to say it's a joke, folks. Never mind. You guys are not up on 70s gay
I think
slang.
once you said it's a joke, folks, they stopped minding.
It's over. Yeah, it's done. It's done. Yeah,
it's done. I know. It's over.
Well, I actually went to see Spamalot this weekend.
Oh, how was it?
It was over in Monroe, which is a small town south of Detroit.
We didn't ask where, we asked how, Mandy. Okay.
Well, the location actually is sort of a part of the thing. It was a community theater. They did Spamalot, but I'm kind of like, it was okay. It was pretty good. As every community theater, the symphony overpowers the singing,
the talent,
talent, of course. But I was like, I forgot that Spamalot had that one song about Broadway. And it was like, I don't know. Basically, it says the joke goes along. There's you've seen Spamalot in terms of like it's King Arthur. It's a take on the Holy Grail,
right?
So Arthur's asked like, why do we have to go to Broadway? How can we go on to Broadway? He says, well, you can't go to Broadway. Well, what do you need to get to Broadway? Well, you need Jews. And then they break into song about how Jews own Broadway.
That's like in the movie Inglourious Bastards, when Christoph Waltz, who played Hans Landa, the Jew hunter, Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin were co-hosting that night, and they said Christoph Waltz has been nominated for a Academy Award playing a Jew, and it's in Hollywood, of course, playing a guy who hunts Jews, and Steve Martin said, Christoph, you've hit the mother lode. But is the World Series on rain delay?
Oh, maybe. Let me check. Yeah. That's why I always have Google.
I'm on Fox 5, which is what's supposed to be carrying it. Yes, no.
Hold on. It's why I always have Google with me so I can look up this crap.
The Google.
I put it in my poem.
I
didn't mean watch it during your show.
Susan just said, just because I put it in my poem doesn't mean I meant watch it during your show.
Well, wait a minute. Did you think we couldn't hear her?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you can be heard, hon. I just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah,
Helen Keller could hear her.
Wait a minute. Hold on. It's 2022. Is a Helen Keller joke okay now? Is it politically correct?
Absolutely.
Okay,
what's she going to do? Tell someone?
Yeah.
Whoa. You're doing you're doing the 9-year-old stand-up comedian material.
Oh shit!
Exactly.
Sam, turn your TV off. It's not, or turn it over to football because it's not just delayed; it's postponed.
Oh, because of the rain.
So they must have a lot of rain in Philly.
No, Sam, because of the ennui. Yes.
because it's not a major, because it's not a New York or LA team in it. There's no major market in it. So
I'm going to tell you something. I watched Pardon the Interruption with Mike Wilbon. Excuse me, what's his name? Is it Mike? Yeah, Mike Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser. I can't. I used to really. I can't stand Wilbon anymore. Two reasons.
You did a TikTok on him this week.
Because number one, he can't stop talking about anything to do with Chicago. All the Chicago teams suck. They've sucked for the last 3 years, 4 years.
From Chicago?
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
No,
okay.
Only 3 years?
He's still talking about Walter Payton. Enough. Okay, he is. I'm not kidding.
Was their last championship the Blackhawks when they won the Stanley Cup about 10 years ago?
Right.
The last Bears championship was 1985.
Holy
shit!
Well, at least they have one.
And the Cubs won one in 2016, which was the first time they had won one in 107 years.
Yes.
Okay, Chicago, the White Sox won one in 2009, which is the first one they had won in.
Hey guys, what was the World Series where you had the guy interfere with the outfielder? He grabbed.
That was the Yankees and the Orioles, and that was 1996. And the reason I know that is because the guy who used to run the comic strip, Lucian Hold, as a wedding gift to me, took me and 3 of my friends to that game.
Oh, cool.
I thought you were going to say you had the fingers of the guy who interfered with the player. Because
No. If you're a Yankee fan, you're very happy he did it.
Yeah,
that was a Yankee home run.
Yeah, the one Jason's thinking about was when the Cubs lost to the Marlins.
Oh, that was Bartman.
That
was the Cubs.
The Cubs.
What's his name? And the Expos?
Had to go
it was the Marlins.
The
Marlins, yeah.
That was when.
He had death threats.
Yeah, he had to go to witness protection. I mean,
he sure did. He
and Salman Rushdie were sharing a Motel 6 somewhere in Piscataway.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, he was in trouble. They were very pissed at him.
He had to room with Bill Buckner.
I'm not Bill Buckner.
All right.
Great.
When have you ever been to Piscataway?
I haven't, but I heard the name reference when they were talking about Michigan's upcoming schedule.
I see.
Speaking of Michigan,
yes.
What about the Michigan State players? What the hell is wrong with them?
4 of them got suspended.
Well,
they should be expelled from school.
And not only that, Mel Tucker should be fired. But I'm a Michigan fan, so of course I'm.
Well, why should he be fired?
Because he's responsible for the conduct of his team, especially when they're in a stadium. It wasn't like they were at a frat party.
But he's the one who suspended them, so you can't fire him.
Did so at the behest, I believe, of management. Also understand that they signed him to a 10-year, $95 million contract, and his team sucks, and it's going to keep sucking for a while. And this would be a good opportunity for them to find a way to broom him out the door.
They are not going to eat that much money.
They're not going to eat that much money.
That's my point, though, is that under these circumstances, you could fire him for cause and not have to make a major.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can. If he
have to read the contract.
Well, but this is what I think. I think that it happened, and when that kind of thing happens, and I know this from not my own personal experience, but I know this from experience, the first thing that happens is you have a meeting, if you're the coach, with the
Yes.
athletic director
Yes.
and the president of the school. So that's not like he was resistant to them talking to him. He was called in. That's just pro forma. That's what happens.
Well, the
and
closest
I don't think he encouraged it. Now I'll tell you the one example of I saw a coach get fired, and it was so obvious he should have been fired.
Woody
and
Hayes
I'm going to go back in time now. Was when Woody Hayes
and Charlie Bauman,
beat the Clemson
Charlie
player,
Bauman.
Yeah.
And now let me say this in Woody's defense. He was a drunk. No, let me say this.
He was an asshole.
In Woody's defense. When Charlie Bauman, intercepted that ball. He played to Clemson, I believe.
Yes.
Intercepted that ball. He was standing right in front of Woody, like going, yeah. So he was baiting him.
Yeah, well.
But he still should have gotten fired.
Yeah. And Woody, they offered Woody the chance to resign. And he said, no, I'm not going to make it that easy for you. And he was.
Did he really?
He was, yes, he was fired. So they fired him. And not only that, they frog marched him off campus. He was barred from the campus of Ohio State University for many years. Later on, they were able to sort of backdoor him, pardon the expression, and he was allowed back on campus. But for many years, he was persona non grata.
Anything you say that doesn't have a gay reference to it?
No.
Wait a minute. Can I tag that gay reference? They could only backdoor.
Nice choice of words.
Thank you very much. They could only backdoor him once they had a certain wrestling coach.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, the fact that Jim Jordan is a congressman is such an indictment of that entire state. A guy, a player comes to him and says, "I was molested," and what does he say? Well, Bob.
Yeah. Well, hey, what did you come? Then I guess you were willing. I mean, don't forget the senator from Oregon who was caught in the Minneapolis.
Bob Packwood.
No, not Packwood. I'm thinking.
No, he was from Idaho, and it was at the Minneapolis.
Larry Craig.
Larry Craig. Yeah. Which, by the way, is my gay porn name, Larry Craig.
By the way, did you ever see his press conference?
Yes, I did. But I mean, he is this total hypocrite Republican. He's the very embodiment of the pro-family hypocrite Republican who
voted against every gay.
Oh my, yeah. But meanwhile,
legislation.
He couldn't get enough weenie packed inside his backside. I mean, they were launching the man missile up his entrails on a regular and daily basis.
Stop it! You're getting me wet.
He got splinters. He got splinters for being in a log cabin system.
And then his defense was, "I have a wide stance." Well, baby, don't we all when we're getting, when Ben Rollo is back behind me and giving me the sort of manly attention I desire while kissing me on my ear.
This moment in gay history is brought to you by Jason Grant, who evidently, the last time he got laid, Hitler was a corporal.
I know. Hey, Dog Day Afternoon, greatest gay movie of all time, especially when Sal is like, "I'm not gay." People are saying I'm gay. What's his name? John Zale.
John Cazale.
Cazale. Yeah.
The best part of that movie was that there were a lot of guys in the theater that didn't realize it was a gay movie until it was too late.
I know. When Sarandon's brother, Chris Sarandon, is playing Leon.
Not her brother, not her ex-husband.
It's her ex-husband. Okay. Yeah. Well, at any rate, he's and what's funny is he said Sidney Lumet said, "A little less Blanche Dubois, a little more Queen's housewife." And I think he hit it.
And that's what he did.
Yes. Lumet was one of the greatest directors of American cinema.
Oh, Mike, I
will agree.
If you think about the variety of the movies he did, Murder on the Orient Express, Serpico, Q&A, I mean, God almighty, just the variety of the films.
The Pawnbroker.
Huh?
Got to put the Pawnbroker in there.
The Pawnbroker. Well, talk about a kick up your heels flick.
I mean, yes.
He also did the Verdict, didn't he? Lumet did the Verdict, did he not?
The Verdict, yeah.
The Verdict. But let me tell you an interesting story about
He's
the verdict.
Fucking Prince of Darkness.
I was gonna introduce you as the fucking Prince of Darkness. There we go.
My favorite line in that movie is when Jack Warden, who said the Prince of Darkness line, was talking to Paul Newman, and he says, "Who's the judge?" And he goes, "It's so and so." He goes, "Well, look at it this way. At least be grateful it's not a Jew up there." But here's the interesting story about the verdict. Oh, by the way, one of the extras, background people in that movie is Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis. He's like in the jury
and he
box
said that being in that movie was like going to acting school because you're watching Paul Newman, Milo O'Shea,
James
Mason. And that's the reason when he did the movie Nobody's Fool, that great movie with Paul Newman, he did it unbilled and for minimum.
Yep. Yeah.
Just to have the opportunity to act with Paul Newman.
Yeah. Wow.
So anyway, here's the story about the verdict.
Yeah.
So the movie, as David Mamet wrote it, was at the end after Paul Newman does his summation, he gets up and he walks out of the courtroom.
All right.
End of movie.
Yeah.
End scene. And the producers of the movie took Mamet aside and said, "You have to change the ending." And he goes, "Why?" He goes, "Because the name of the fucking movie is The Verdict."
The Verdict.
There has to be a verdict. And he goes, "No, that's bullshit." He says, No. There has to be a verdict.
Yeah.
And Mamet quit.
Yeah.
And so, and he went on to be a defender of all things Israel and become a self-hating Jew. But enough of me. So then, so then they call on this great script doctor, a woman. I have to say that because you'll see why. Named J. Preston Allen, a great script doctor, and she wrote in that final scene. Wow. She didn't write the summation. That was Mamet's, but she wrote. Your Honor, can we decide to give the people the plaintiff more and all that?
Okay.
That was her. The whole thing, and this was brilliant, by the way. The thing where, and a lot of people didn't notice this, that at the end of the movie, the phone is ringing. And it's Charlotte Rampling calling him, right?
Yeah.
And what's he drinking? Coffee.
Yeah.
He got clean.
Yeah.
He's drinking coffee. And she's so drunk, she knocks over the drink. She's hammered out of her mind. But that was a brilliant little piece there where
Charlotte Rampling, there's an actress who was constantly almost in the same role every time, but God, she's so good at it. She's an Angel Heart for all of like 2 scenes, and she just steals every inch of every frame that she's in.
Did you see her in? Do you remember her in Georgie Girl?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's right.
She's fantastic.
She looks in the movie. I don't know who directed it, but it was brilliant directing. In the beginning of not just the beginning, but for most of the movie, she's stunning, right? And as the movie goes on, Lynn Redgrave becomes prettier, and Charlotte Rampling becomes less attractive.
God, I got to watch that movie again.
James Mason.
The first time I saw her was in Night Porter, which was really again.
Talk about a kick up. Talk about a musical. Jesus Christ.
13, 14. Yeah, she's playing. Yeah, the whole Nazi.
Dirk Bogarde.
Yeah, I mean, it's again that, and you guys wonder how I turned out queer. I know.
Well, the funny thing about that, they want the original theme song to be "The Way We Were," but
but again, she always had an ability to play this smoldering, conflicted character.
That was her. I mean, that was her part.
So believable. It always comes through. It doesn't.
Now, wasn't she in Zardos too? Did she play the female lead in Zardos?
She does. Zardos, again, one of the greatest movies ever made. Andy, you're a great lighting double for the Zardos head. I mean, if you wanted to ever put that on as a play in the backyard,
I could do that. Yeah,
exactly.
If you put that on as a play in the backyard, I will fly to Michigan.
Well,
I will fly, and I won't use a plane. I will fly to Michigan to watch that.
I did put on a one-man performance of Equus riding a cow in a pole barn, but that was something different. No,
can I tell you something? I have a friend who I like talking loud because I'm a man. Anyway. I'm in so much trouble now.
We didn't have to see you grab your crotch when we know that you did.
Well, now that I use Lumi.
Yeah, well, we'll be sending you a fleshlight.
I love those commercials. Ladies, are you feeling crotchety? It just. I don't want to sound too old, although I guess too late. But
yes, it is.
But I remember you couldn't say the word crotch on TV.
I remember.
Now it's like, folks, do you have twat rot? I mean,
well, who doesn't?
Charlotte Rampling, 110 films. Georgie Girl was her first.
God damn!
Wow,
that's
110 films.
1966, I believe. 65.
1966. Then she was in The Damned in 69. Henry VIII and His Six Wives in 72.
That's right.
Yeah. With Richard Burton?
Yep.
Is that the Richard Burton one? Yeah. Okay.
Man. Hold on. I just found a 65 one here. Let me go back to that page there. Yeah. She did something in 65. She did Rotten to the Core in 1965.
Was she in Lair of the White Worm? The oh god, wasn't Robert Stigwood who directed that? No, it wasn't. It wasn't RSO. It was oh gosh. My brain is giving out. But yeah, that was another one.
Yeah. Your brain's giving out, really?
Well, amongst other,
you just can't get you got the lighting guy off. You couldn't get the lighting guy for the show. You're really faltering there, guy.
Wait a minute. Before she had a role that was uncredited. She was a nightclub dancer in A Hard Day's Night.
Really?
Wow. And that's 1964.
64. Yeah.
Yeah, I got to see that one again. It's been a while since I've seen that movie.
I saw that movie. I was driving I wasn't driving. He was driving in New York in the Catskills, okay, with a friend of mine who was 16. We were both 16. And at the time, you had to be 18 in order to drive in New York. And he was speeding, not going 100 miles an hour, but speeding. And he got pulled over. And as soon as they saw his license, they impounded his car and drove him to the next available town. And his older brother, Lenny, had to come up to the Catskills and take him home, And I thought, boy, Lenny's going to kill him. Oh God, he's going to be, and he was great about it. He was great about it. And I said, your brother Lenny, always to me, he's a nice guy, but I thought at any moment he could snap his cap and just go volatile. And he goes, but he didn't. He goes, you know why? I said, no. He said, my mom owns a liquor store, right? I said, yeah. Yeah, I'll be putting away all the beer for the next 6 months.
Yeah, the hard work.
Yeah, the funny thing about it was that liquor store was in an inner city neighborhood, and her nickname, his mother's nickname, her name was Gertrude, was Dirty Gertie, which I just thought was like a play on the rhyme scheme. No, right. She was called Gertie Dirty because she was constantly trying to cheat people out of money. In other words, it's like $9.15. So she owes you 85 cents. She would give you 50.
Wow.
And I thought, the one thing my people don't need is that bad name. If you're gonna cheat someone, go for the gold. Don't give them any fucking change and say, bring it, bitch. But if you're cheating someone out of 30 cents, that's just sad on a whole lot of levels. I mean, that's sad as a soap opera. You can't do that.
Charlotte Rampling was in The Vanishing Point.
Great movie.
Wow.
Great movie.
In overseas release only. Her scene was deleted for the U.S. print.
Why?
Wow.
Was that the movie with Barry Newman?
Yeah. Driving across.
Yeah, Vanishing Point.
And who was playing the DJ? There was the black DJ who was like narrating the film.
Cleavon Little.
That was Cleavon.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about a guy who died too soon.
Way too soon.
Anyway,
Richard Pryor was supposed to play Bart.
Yes.
Yeah, they couldn't get financing with him.
They couldn't get insurance for him.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, he had a problem with his nose, and they couldn't get insurance
because he took his name off the script.
Yes,
no, it's still on his name is still on the script. His name is still on the
credit. It may be now, but back then it
not
wasn't.
then.
No, okay.
Not then. No, Jason's right. Not then. By the way, if he had played Bart, it would have been and nothing wrong with Cleavon Little's job. He was great, but it would have been a dramatically different movie.
No, absolutely.
He was getting pissed down their leg though when he was going through the desert and it's Count Basie's orchestra is playing his theme music. And then it just kept getting funnier as the movie went on.
Well, the fact that the saddlebag was designed by Gucci. I mean,
they said you was hung, and they were right. I mean,
one of my favorite lines in that movie is when Bart says, "Excuse me while I whip this out." Woo!
Then he puts the gun to his own head when the crowd is about to go after him.
I'll blow this nigga's head off.
Yeah, clean off.
He means it, man. By the way, could that movie be made today?
Nope. Not really. It could be made. It won't be released.
Nope. It would. No.
We'd see that movie on YouTube or some.
That is so sad. That is so sad.
I mean, the old white lady with the up yours nigger. I mean,
that was
sorry
funny.
About the up yours nigger.
What I thought was funny is as much as they used that word, there were two very funny scenes where they held back. One is where what's his name?
Harvey Korman?
Gene Wilder?
No.
David Huddleston?
Mel Brooks playing the governor grabs Cleavon Little thinking he's got Harvey Korman. He goes, my God, can't you see he's a nick? And then he goes, oh, excuse me. He goes back
and they did that with the old Sidewinder. Yeah. When he goes, because they like with some kind of noise, you don't hear the second part. What did he say? He said the new sheriff is near.
Yeah, that was Gabby. That was Gabby Hayes up on the.
Can't you see that this is the last act of a desperate man? I don't care if it's the third act of Henry V.
I thought that was Rip Torn up there. Was it Rip Torn to that bit?
No, he was.
No,
I still
Taggart. Go back to town and get a shitload of dimes.
Harvey Korman trying to help Mel Brooks with his pen,
Korman doing his best James Mason.
I got an idea. Let's kill all their firstborn. Too Jewish.
Too Jewish.
Oh, yeah. God, is that a great movie?
Stampeding cattle. Well, that's not so bad. Through the Vatican? Kinky. I like it.
I also like the guy who's playing Hitler going, yeah, they let me go right after the bunker scene.
Yeah, right after the bunker in the Brooklyn accent. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God.
Which again brings call back to Laszlo St. Dubois, the late Dick Shawn as Adolf Hitler.
Oh
really,
man.
Has there been a better Hitler on the screen? I say no. No. I leave you, baby. Now leave me alone.
Also, Kenneth Mars in that same movie
as the screenwriter.
Baby. Hitler never said baby. Hitler was an artist. 4 walls, 2 coats, 1 hour.
who again reprised a crazy role in Young Frankenstein as the German police.
He plays the wacky cop.
With the arm, with the wooden arm, and those Mel Brooks movies again in the early 70s.
Right, it's an ugly thing. It's just about time we had another one. What do you say? Okay,
normal, somewhat normal, abnormal, abnormal.
Yeah. Again,
and also Marty Feldman. Well, it's like my dad used to say at times like this. What was that? When are you coming out of there? Other people have to go.
Now, remember, I'm going to go in there, and I don't want you, no matter how much I cry, no matter how much I protest, you do not open that door. And Gene Wilder pulls that off. I was fucking kidding.
Open this door, you son of a bitch. And also, put the candle back.
And again, casting Peter Boyle, an Academy Award winner. A guy who just chews up scenery, whether he's got a 5-minute spot in Taxi Driver, whether he carries a movie like Joe, which he wins an Academy Award for.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, I thought it was Joe, wasn't it?
No, he's never won an Oscar.
He didn't win. Sure? He got nominated. He didn't win, though.
Okay, well, he was an Academy Award nominated actor.
The best line I ever heard him do was on Everybody Loves Raymond. Yeah. Raymond is doing an interview, and he says to his father, Peter Boyle, he goes, "So what'd you think of the interview?" He goes, "It was all right." He goes, "That's it? It was all right? It was all right. Let it go." No, I want to know really what you think. You want to know what I think? I could have crapped an alphabet soup and had a better interview. Oh man! Oh my God!
And Peter Boyle always reminded, or James Gandolfini always reminded me of Peter Boyle. They're not exactly the same, but there's a certain amount of overlap in those Venn diagrams.
I did background on a Sopranos, and I'm watching what's his name, Steve Buscemi. Mm-hmm. And James Gandolfini do a scene. They're supposed to be in a diner having breakfast. I swear to God, I couldn't take my eyes off those guys. I mean, you talk about acting. And there was one point where, if you're background, you start daydreaming. And so I'm daydreaming because, I mean, you're doing nothing, but, you're furniture. And I feel these hands on my shoulders, and he says, "Excuse me, sir." And I turn around, and it's Gandolfini. He couldn't get by me. So, kind of and I turn around, and what did smooth talking Greenfield say? "I think you're great."
You know what? I'd have blown the man right there. So, yeah.
And he says, and so he goes, "I was just touching your shoulders. It wasn't a neck rub." And I thought, I said, that's the best thing he could have said. Yeah. Oh my God. And he was real. And if you ever hear a story that he was a dick, tell that person to go fuck themselves. He was so nice. He was easy.
I've heard the cast members say nothing but good things about him.
Oh, he was wonderful.
He went.
You know why? I think that's true? Because he came to success late.
Yep.
And he was grateful for it. Yep. And he wasn't a dick. You always read these stories. The one person I've heard, and this really surprised me, the one person who I've heard terrible things about, and it wasn't from one person, it wasn't from two, it wasn't from three, was Billy Joel.
Really?
Oh. Not only a woman, I went for a COVID test, and the doctor was this young doctor, and she said, "I never talk about people like that because, he could have had a bad day." He said, "But I was there, and he made a waitress cry."
Oh,
he was screaming at her and cursing at her, and she said, "Trust me, she didn't do anything to deserve it." And on a $300 tab, he left $4.
Yeah, that's tasteless.
That's all you need to know. You know who else is a shitty tipper, and this surprised me? Stanley Tucci.
Really? Well, I can almost see that because that guy's rapped pretty. He's a hell of an actor.
But this is a guy who makes a living in part by eating at restaurants.
Yes,
that's true.
That's why it surprised me.
But I mean, again, but I mean, Tucci is so good. You see him in Margin Call, and you see him in Devil Wears Prada.
In Big Night.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I saw him was on TV on that one show about a lawyer's office. Had Daniel, whatever, the guy who blew up his career.
Daniel Benzali.
Yes, exactly. But Tucci plays the Dark Prince, who's you're pretty sure he's guilty. Turns out he's not. It was
that was a terrific show. Murder One.
Murder One, and it had
it was a great show. I like that because it wrapped it up in one season.
It wrapped it up in one season. It had Barbara Bosun in it because her hubby
it was Stephen Bochco's wife.
You're right, and it was a great show. It didn't make it into the second season. I think is when it died, but the first season was really a great show. And Tucci played the bad guy. And played him really, really, really well.
The first time I saw Tucci, he was doing a commercial for Levi jeans, and
really?
He had to be like 29 years old, and he's in a white T-shirt with a pair of jeans, and he's leaning against a wall with one foot against the wall, and he's chewing a nail. I don't mean like a six. I don't mean like a sixpenny common. I mean his nails.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah.
Wait, did I tell you the joke about Bernstein's nails?
No.
There's a guy named Abe Bernstein, and he started off in life selling nails from like barrels, and he built it into a hardware store. And one store became two, and two became five, and he built an empire. Right. Bernstein's, but he kept the name Bernstein's Nails. So as he approached retirement, he said to his son who worked with him, he said, "I'm leaving the business to you. Make sure you take care of things." So one day he comes down to the Bernstein Nails building. I mean, he has a building, you know, and between the elevators is a crucifix. And there's a sign that says, "Uses Bernstein's nails." And the father flips out. He's so angry. He goes up to the executive suite. He smacks his son in the face. He goes, "Are you out of your goddamn mind? Don't you realize that most of our customers are Gentile? Now you take that goddamn sign down today. Do you hear me? Today." And he goes, "Okay, Dad, I'm really sorry." So the next day the father comes in, and between the elevators is a crucifix on its side with a sign that says, "Should have used."
Should have used Bernstein's nails. Hey, Joe, 1970, starring Peter Boyle, had one Oscar nomination, and it wasn't for acting; it was for Best Original Screenplay.
Well, Peter Boyle got nominated. I thought it was.
He did not get nominated. He did not get nominated. The only nomination for that film was Original Screenplay. I'm looking at.
Well, what did Boyle ever get a nomination, or am I just misremembering there to use a Bushism?
If it wasn't for Young Frankenstein, no offense to him, I can't imagine what it would be for.
Well, he might have gotten the Best Supporting Actor out of Taxi Driver, but I don't know. I can't remember that. Although Martin Scorsese should have gotten a Best Supporting.
I just saw that movie today. It was on Showtime.
What'd you watch?
Taxi Driver,
which is another movie that I don't think could be made today.
No, but what a cast! De Niro. What's her name?
Harvey Keitel, Jodie Foster,
Peter Boyle, Albert Brooks.
Oh, that's right. Sybil Shepherd. When she's when they do that shot of her head in the rear view mirror with the jazz score
at the end of the movie.
And that jazz is floating in her hair. She's like angelic. You know, I mean, and at the time she was the big it girl. I mean, she'd done the last picture show. You know,
impact.
I'll tell you the movie where she looked absolutely just stunning. The Heartbreak Kid.
God, that's a great movie.
Yes, she was great.
Oh my God, when Charles Grodin is trying to get his wife,
Eddie Albert is offering Charles Grodin money, and he goes, "Do you know what $25,000 feels like? Have you ever touched 25,000?" And the thing that was great about that movie was he says, "You can bribe me all you want. I'm going to marry her," right? And at the end of the movie, they get married, and you can see, and Grodin was brilliant.
Yeah,
and you see this look on Grodin's face. Right. He's going to get bored with her.
Yeah,
you can see it.
Yeah.
He's going to get bored with her. It's like that great line: whenever you see a beautiful woman, remember somewhere there's a guy who's just about had it with her bullshit.
Yeah. Well, again, another one. He and Robert De Niro in Midnight Run, which was Dennis
I love that movie.
Well, I mean, again, it's just it kind of gets lost in the mix of late '80s, early '90s. But yeah, I mean, Grodin doing that whole thing about how he can't fly and.
The scene to me, and I guarantee you they had to do 10 takes because somebody cracked up, was the scene where he's stealing $20 from the deli owner.
Yes.
He goes, "What's the name of this restaurant?" Red's. "Where's Red?" I'm Red. "Your hair's not red." Somebody cracked up. I'm telling you, somebody broke.
Oh man! Again, a fine movie. Who directed that? Does anyone remember? Because that.
Which film?
Midnight Run.
1989, 1990, somewhere in there. Robert De Niro.
John Ashton.
That was a great movie.
Dennis Farina.
Joe Paliantonio.
Yeah, 1988, and it was directed by. Here we got it here. Hold on.
Sid Charisse.
Nope. Hold on.
No, is that wrong?
Martin Brest.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
I think he did one of my. What was that movie?
He did one of Eddie Murphy's.
One of the great unsung
Beverly Hills Cops. Didn't he?
One of the great unsung movies of all time. George Burns, Art Carney, Lee Strasberg, Going in Style.
Yes,
that was a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, Burns was unbelievable. He really was.
Did Carney win for Harry and Me, or was he
Harry and Tonto?
Harry and Tonto.
Which, by the way,
it's
film. Unbelievable he won because it was the same year as Serpico.
Yeah.
Well, again, you look at a guy like Richard Burton, who never got an Academy Award because every time he was up against Paul Scofield or Paul Newman.
I thought they were going to give it to him for Equus, like they did with. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know they nominated him for Equus. I don't know if he got it that year.
I thought like they did with Pacino for the vastly undeserved Scent of a Woman.
Because but given Pacino's body of work,
you know what he should have won for? Heat.
Yes, that's a good one.
That scene between him and De Niro at the diner.
Yep. Pacino in Justice for All. Even though he's completely out of control.
Pacino in Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon. Again, another one where you see him and you don't even see Michael Corleone.
Not at all.
This is the guy who you see him in Panic in Needle Park, which again, one of my favorite movies, because that movie's shot with handheld cameras, live sound, real heroin.
By the way, that park, Needle Park.
Yeah, which is now I'm told is very.
They have a dog run.
Yeah,
they have kids. It's near me. It's near where I live. Yeah.
Yeah, Keel Martin is in that, and he's got a couple.
Keel Martin, wow. Who died of what?
AIDS, if I'm not, or lung
cancer.
Alcohol. Well, I was close. I mean, it's in the same cluster.
By the way, you remember the movie Yankee Doodle Dandy?
Yes. Yeah.
I remember the porn film, but never mind that.
Yeah. That's Yank My Doodle. It's a dandy. Yank My Doodle. It's a dandy. You can't beat the classics. Anyway,
Roger Rabbit. There you go.
You can't beat to them, and that's why they are classics.
He the kid who played young George Cohan, the one who got the shit beat out of him.
Yeah.
Remember, he goes outside and he goes, "I can take on any of you kids." Blah 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 blah. So I'm looking at IBDM, and just to look at the whole cast, and of course everybody in that thing is dead because it took place it was filmed in 41.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm looking, this kid would be, let me see, if he was 9 years old then, 59, 8, he could be 90, he could be alive. Oh no, died of acute alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking back to it. Okay, are you ready to go on? Fuck you, man. I'm only 10.
Hey, lady, I got a joke for you. It's going to make your ass fall off. I've seen you heard it. Yeah, that's it.
You know Bob Nickman?
I do. I know him.
Okay, so one day we're in New Hampshire, and Bob Nickman is on stage, and this woman will not shut up.
Oh, boy.
She is talking and talking, and he goes, "Could you please stop talking? Please." And she throws a piece of ice at him.
Wow. Oh, dear.
And he calls her a cunt. And the audience goes, oh. And he goes, "You're right. I shouldn't have said it. I was out of line. I apologize. Can I buy you a drink?" She goes, "No." He goes, "See, she is a cunt."
You see, my mother and our next door neighbors, my mother would stand on the back porch and scream, "Margie, get your ass out here, you old cunt." And she would say, "Sue, come on down here, you old," because these were housewives who knew how to get in the backyard and start drinking white wine at about 1:00 in the afternoon, while the rest of us kids were setting fire to cats or engaging in prostitution or whatever you did
times.
in the 70s. I gotta tell you, and to think that I got out of it with no AIDS and only one case of syphilis, but it wasn't a big deal of a word to me. But then I got into sort of a larger, when it suddenly
circle of people.
And they realized that, throwing the word cunt around was not really a nice
Well,
thing.
in England,
you have to do it, Jason. You have to do it with a British accent.
That's what
I'm saying. It's in Shakespeare.
I have a friend, and she's American, but she is a real Anglophile. She says and it's annoying sometimes. I love her, but it's annoying. Like she says schedule instead of apartment. She says flat. That kind of shit. So, and as Mark alluded to, that word is fairly common in England.
Yeah, those are Fanny. Fanny is
it's like Dudley Moore and Peter Cook did a whole routine about it.
Really?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. And it was hysterical. So I called her that one day, not in any vicious way, but like, and she was like, "Why would you say that?" And I went, "Wow, you're not that English after all." Because that's something that someone who is a devoted Anglophile would know. They would know that.
Oh God! Just thinking of Dudley Moore and Peter Cook and hearing some of because they used to get played late night on some of the FM radio stations that would play on Sunday night or Saturday night. They'd be rock stations, but after 2 a.m. you'd be hearing all kinds. You remember Mark ABX?
I sure do. Peter Werby used to be on WATS to play that stuff. Yeah.
And I can remember hearing some of the bits that they used to do. You'd hear Kentucky Fried Theater would be out there.
Oh, with Richard Belzer.
Yeah.
Yes. They had Firesign Theater.
Firesign Theater.
Porgy, tire biter.
What's funny
about you like me?
This is before we had cable and video,
right?
And a lot of those comedy troupes had to do these audio things, and so the sound effects had to be funny as well as the script.
He walks by night relentlessly, ruthlessly. I wonder where Ruth went.
One of my favorite albums back in that pre-cable television days was the one that Martin Mull produced most of his stuff, and he sold them at his shows. But then he got a contract with ABC, and they hired Rob Reiner to play the ABC executive that would interrupt all the cuts. Did you ever hear that?
That's hysterical.
Martin Mull and Fred Willard on that Fernwood Tonight.
Yes. Oh yeah, that was great.
And then the spin-off where they played the fake what was it? Like what was it, a talk show with Martin Mull and Fred Willard? Because again, Fred Willard was an incredibly funny man.
Fred Willard as the color commentator at the dog show.
At the dog
show. Oh my God.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. Just offhand, how much do you think I could bench press? or 315 pounds.
Or in Waiting for Guffman, which again, another absolute classic. And I am told that the direction was that whatever Fred does, he just wind him up, let him go, do your best to hang on. I mean,
I also love in Best in Show when they're showing the dogs and he goes, it's such a tragedy. There are countries where these animals are eaten. I fell down off the floor. Oh my God, these animals are eaten.
The yuppie couple.
It's pretty much that's
Michael Hickok and
Posey Parker.
Parker Posey.
Parker Posey.
Right,
yeah.
That's a core group. That's a core group that started with. This is Spinal
Tap.
By
the way, in Waiting for Guffman, what's the guy's name who did Better Call Saul?
No, his brother played his brother. Lenny. He played Lenny on Laverne and Shirley. I'm trying to think of the guy's name.
No, not David Lander.
No, the other guy. The guy.
No.
He played Saul's brother.
Yeah, but no, that's not.
Not the guy.
Who played Saul?
That was
Odenkirk. Bob Odenkirk.
That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. In the movie Best in Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman.
You see all these people standing around ready to audition.
Yeah.
And Odenkirk is dressed exactly like a vampire. But my favorite is there's a guy standing there who's wearing like an old bandlon shirt. He's got a pot belly. He's got a Bronx accent. He goes, I'd like to do this scene. He's auditioning, right, from Raging Bull. You fuck my wife. What? You fuck my wife? What kind of thing is that to say? Listen, Joey, you fuck my... And they go, thank you. That was excellent.
Oh, God.
That was wonderful.
Thank you.
God.
Again, the Corky Lang, we're always talking about his wife, who, of course, we never see, talking about how he picks out all of her clothes and and does all the shopping and his fixation on the one little theater boy that he doesn't have any lines, but it's pretty clear.
By the way, when Fred Willard talks about he had to get a penis reduction,
and
he stands up in front of the dentist and he goes, "See, let me show you what I mean." He goes, "No, it's okay." No. All right, kids, it's been a gas and a giggle.
Yeah, what a great boy! That 60 minutes went by really quick. So hey, that's what we do on the off night. We talk about the things that make us laugh. So join us sometime if you'd like to get on with us. I'm still we still have a couple more spots, and Andy and I can always get off and let these two clowns entertain whoever we have with us.
I think he means you and me, Jason.
That's the reference I'm getting, but
yeah.
He's trying to butter me up because he knows I'm a bottom, but never mind.
We'll be back here. We'll be back here again.
That was a gay reference, everybody, for those of you who may have lived in Scandinavia for the past 2 years.
Well, okay.
Jumpin' Yemeni.
We've had more gay references than any show that didn't have Lindsey Graham as a guest.
That's why I have a gash on my forehead. Oh.
Yeah, happy Halloween, everybody. We'll see everybody next week. Good night.
Take care, guys. Stay well.
Yeah, happy Halloween, folks.
Take it easy.